Welcome, dear listener, to another gentle journey here at Deep Sleep Stories. I'm Tim, your guide tonight, and I'm grateful you've joined me. This evening, we'll wander into a tale that has lived in the hearts of many, a story of courage, friendship, and wonder. It is the story of the Wizard of the Emerald City. But tonight, we'll move through it slowly, peacefully, letting each moment unfold like a dream carried on the wind. Before we begin, take a moment to rest. Settle into your pillow, soften your shoulders, and let your breath flow easily, like waves on a quiet shore. Notice the inhale, and then the gentle release of the exhale. If thoughts drift in, let them pass, like clouds moving across a wide, open sky. And now, let us begin. In a quiet corner of the countryside, far from the noise of crowded towns, there lived a little girl named Ellie. She was bright, curious, and full of gentle wonder. Ellie lived with her Uncle Henry and Aunt Em in a small farmhouse. The days were simple, filled with chores, with the rhythm of the land, and with the quiet companionship of her little dog, Totoshka. Totoshka was lively, with eyes that sparkled like tiny lanterns. He followed Ellie everywhere, across the fields, through the garden, even into the barn where the hay smelled sweet and golden. Though life was modest, Ellie found joy in small things. She loved the way the wind whispered through tall grass. She loved the way the stars appeared, one by one, in the wide night sky. And she loved the warmth of Totoshka curled beside her, a steady comfort in every season. But sometimes, storms would come. The prairie was vast, and when the winds rose, they carried with them a wild, restless power. Clouds would gather, heavy and dark, and the air would tremble with the promise of thunder. On one such day, the sky shifted suddenly. The wind grew fierce, rattling the windows of the farmhouse. Aunt Em called out, urging Ellie to hurry inside. Uncle Henry moved quickly, trying to secure the barn. Ellie clutched Totoshka close, her heart racing. The storm was unlike any she had seen before. The air roared, the earth seemed to shake, and then, with a sudden force, the house itself began to lift. The walls trembled, the floor shifted beneath her feet, and before Ellie could understand what was happening, the farmhouse rose into the swirling sky, carried away by the storm. Inside, everything was chaos. Furniture slid, dishes rattled, and the wind howled through the cracks. Ellie held Totoshka tightly, whispering to him, trying to stay calm. And then, slowly, the noise began to fade. The storm's fury softened into a strange, dreamlike silence. The house drifted, as if floating on invisible waves. Ellie closed her eyes. She breathed deeply, and in that moment, she felt herself surrender to the journey, wherever it might lead. The house drifted for what felt like hours. Ellie held Totoshka close, her eyes heavy, her heart uncertain. And then, with a sudden jolt, the house touched down. The silence that followed was strange, almost magical. No thunder, no roaring wind, only a soft stillness, as if the world itself was holding its breath. Ellie rose carefully, her feet steadying on the wooden floor. She opened the door, and what she saw filled her with wonder. The world outside was unlike anything she had ever known. The grass shimmered with a brightness that seemed alive. Flowers bloomed in colors so vivid they looked painted by dreams. And the sky was a clear, endless blue, stretching far beyond the horizon. Totoshka barked softly, his tail wagging with excitement. Ellie stepped down, her eyes wide, her breath caught in awe. She had landed in a land of magic. Not far from the house, 3 figures appeared. They were small, gentle-looking people, dressed in bright clothing that sparkled in the sunlight. Their hats were tall and pointed, their faces kind. Ellie watched as they approached, their steps light, their voices soft. One of them, a woman with eyes like morning dew, spoke first. "Welcome, child," she said. "You have come to the land of the blue munchkins." Ellie blinked, unsure of what to say. The woman smiled, sensing her confusion. "You are safe here," she continued. "The storm has brought you, and in doing so, it has ended the reign of the wicked witch who ruled over us." Ellie's heart raced. She looked down and saw, to her astonishment, that beneath the edge of her house lay a pair of shoes, glittering silver, catching the light. The wicked witch had been crushed when the house landed. The munchkins bowed their heads in gratitude. "You have freed us," they whispered. Ellie felt a mix of emotions, surprise, relief, and a quiet sense of responsibility. She had not meant to do such a thing. Yet here she was, standing in a land that already saw her as a hero. The woman introduced herself as the Good Witch of the North. Her voice was calm, her presence gentle. "You cannot stay here forever," she told Ellie kindly. "This is not your home, but there is a way back." Ellie listened closely. The Good Witch explained that only the great wizard of the Emerald City could help her return to her family. He was wise, powerful, and lived in a shining city at the heart of the land. "If you wish to go home," the witch said, "you must travel to him. Follow the yellow brick road. It will lead you there." Ellie looked down at the silver shoes, then at Totoshka, who wagged his tail as if ready for the journey. She nodded slowly. Though the path ahead was unknown, she felt a quiet strength within her. The Good Witch touched her shoulder gently. "Be brave, child, and remember, kindness will guide you." With that, the witch and the munchkins stepped back, leaving Ellie at the beginning of her adventure. Ellie took a deep breath. She looked at the road, golden, winding, stretching far into the distance, and with Totoshka at her side, she began to walk. The yellow brick road wound through fields that shimmered with golden light. Tall grasses swayed in the breeze, and wildflowers painted the edges of the path in hues of violet and blue. Ellie felt both curious and cautious, her eyes wide as she took in the beauty around her. After some time, she came upon a field of corn. The stalks rose high, their leaves rustling softly, and in the middle of the field stood a figure, tall, thin, and made entirely of straw. His arms stretched out, his clothes patched and faded, his hat tilted at an odd angle. At first, Ellie thought he was simply a scarecrow, placed there to frighten away birds. But then he moved. The figure turned his head slowly, his button eyes blinking with gentle curiosity. He smiled, a warm, slightly crooked smile. "Good day," he said, his voice soft and kind. Ellie gasped, surprised. Totoshka barked once, then tilted his head, as if trying to understand. The scarecrow chuckled. "Don't be afraid. I may look unusual, but I mean no harm." Ellie stepped closer, her curiosity overcoming her hesitation. "Are you alive?" she asked softly. "In a way," the scarecrow replied. "I can move, I can speak, but I have no brain, and that is what troubles me." Ellie listened carefully. The scarecrow explained that though he could stand tall in the field, though he could watch the world around him, he could not think clearly. He longed for wisdom, for understanding, for the ability to reason. "I wish I had a brain," he said quietly. "Then I could be truly alive." Ellie's heart softened. She told him about her journey, about the wizard of the Emerald City who might help her return home. The Scarecrow's eyes brightened. "Do you think," he asked, "that the wizard could give me a brain?" Ellie smiled gently. "Perhaps he could. Why don't you come with us? We're going to see him." The Scarecrow's smile widened. "Oh, I would like that very much." With careful movements, he stepped down from his post in the field. His straw rustled softly as he walked, his patched clothes shifting with each step. Though his movements were clumsy, there was a quiet joy in them. Totoshka sniffed at him curiously, then wagged his tail. Ellie laughed softly, feeling comforted by this new companion. And so the three of them, Ellie, Totoshka, and the Scarecrow, continued along the yellow brick road. The path stretched ahead, winding through fields and forests, leading them toward the Emerald City. As they walked, Ellie felt the growing sense of hope. She was no longer alone. She had found a friend, one who longed for wisdom and who would share the journey with her. The path wound through a forest. Tall trees rose high above, their branches weaving together like a green canopy. Sunlight filtered through the leaves, scattering golden patterns across the ground. Birds sang softly, their voices blending with the rustle of the wind. As Ellie and her companions moved deeper into the forest, they heard a faint sound. It was not birdsong, nor the whisper of leaves. It was a metallic creak, a sound of something stiff, unmoving. Curious, Ellie followed the sound, and there, among the trees, she saw a figure. It was a man, tall, strong, and made entirely of shining tin. His arms were frozen mid-motion, his face still, his body stiff, as if locked in place. Beside him lay an old oil can, rusted and forgotten. Ellie stepped closer. The Scarecrow tilted his head, straw rustling softly. Totoshka barked once, circling the figure. Ellie touched the Tin Man's arm gently. It was cold, hard, unmoving. But then, she heard a faint whisper. "Oil, please, oil." His voice was weak, strained, almost lost beneath the silence of the forest. Ellie's eyes widened. She picked up the oil can, shaking it gently. There was still a little left inside. Carefully, she poured oil onto the Tin Man's joints, his elbows, his knees, his neck. Slowly, the stiffness began to ease. The Tin Man moved his arms, bent his legs, turned his head. And then, with a deep sigh, he spoke clearly. "Thank you," he said, his voice stronger now. "I have been standing here for so long, unable to move, unable to speak. You have freed me." Ellie smiled warmly. The Scarecrow clapped his straw hands together, delighted. Totoshka wagged his tail, barking happily. The Tin Man bowed his head in gratitude. "My name is the Tin Woodman," he said. "I once lived as a man of flesh and blood, but through misfortune, I became what you see now, a body of tin without a heart." Ellie listened closely. The Tin Woodman explained that though he could move, though he could speak, he could not feel. He longed for a heart, for the ability to love, to care, to truly live. "I wish I had a heart," he said softly. "Then I would not be empty inside." Ellie's heart ached for him. She told him about her journey, about the wizard of the Emerald City who might help her return home. The Tin Woodman's eyes brightened. "Do you think," he asked, "that the wizard could give me a heart?" Ellie smiled gently. "Perhaps he could. Why don't you come with us? We're going to see him." The Tin Woodman's voice trembled with hope. "Oh, I would like that more than anything." And so, with careful steps, he joined them. His tin body gleamed in the sunlight, his movements now free and strong. Though he lacked a heart, There was kindness in his voice and gratitude in his every gesture. Together, the four of them, Ellie, Totoshka, the Scarecrow, and the Tin Woodman, continued along the yellow brick road. The path stretched ahead, winding deeper into the forest, leading them toward the Emerald City. Ellie felt her courage grow. With each new friend, the journey became less lonely and more filled with hope. The forest grew darker as they walked. The trees rose high, their branches twisting together, blocking much of the sunlight. The air was cool, filled with the scent of moss and damp earth. Ellie held Totoshka close, her steps careful, her eyes alert. The Scarecrow tried to keep cheerful, humming softly as his straw rustled with each step. The Tin Woodman walked steadily, his tin body gleaming faintly even in the dim light. But all of them felt the weight of the forest pressing in. Suddenly, a roar echoed through the trees. It was deep, powerful, and filled with wild energy. Ellie froze, her heart racing. Totoshka barked sharply, his small body trembling. From the shadows, a great lion leapt forward. His mane was golden, his eyes fierce, his teeth sharp. He landed before them, his roar shaking the ground. Ellie gasped. The Scarecrow stumbled back, his straw rustling in alarm. The Tin Woodman raised his axe, ready to defend. But then, something unexpected happened. The lion stopped. His fierce expression softened, and in a trembling voice, he said, "Please, don't be afraid. I'm not as brave as I look." Ellie blinked, surprised. The lion lowered his head, his mane falling around him like a curtain. "I roar," he explained, "because I want others to think I'm strong. But inside, I'm afraid. I lack courage. I long to be brave, but I cannot." Ellie's heart softened. She stepped closer, her voice gentle. "You are strong," she said kindly, "but I understand. Sometimes strength is not enough. Sometimes we need courage." The lion sighed deeply. "I wish I had courage. Then I could face the world without fear." Ellie told him about their journey, about the wizard of the Emerald City, who might help her return home, who might give the Scarecrow a brain and the Tin Woodman a heart. The lion's eyes brightened. "Do you think," he asked, "that the wizard could give me courage?" Ellie smiled softly. "Perhaps he could. Why don't you come with us? We're going to see him." The lion's voice trembled with hope. "Oh, I would like that more than anything." And so, the lion joined them. His steps were heavy, his mane golden, his eyes filled with quiet longing. Though he lacked courage, there was kindness in his heart and a gentle strength in his presence. Together, the five of them, Ellie, Totoshka, the Scarecrow, the Tin Woodman, and the lion, continued along the yellow brick road. The path stretched ahead, winding deeper into the forest, leading them toward the Emerald City. Ellie felt her courage grow. With each new friend, the journey became less lonely and more filled with hope. The forest grew darker as they walked. The trees rose high, their branches twisting together, blocking much of the sunlight. The air was cool, filled with the scent of moss and damp earth. Ellie held Totoshka close, her steps careful, her eyes alert. The Scarecrow tried to keep cheerful, humming softly as his straw rustled with each step. The Tin Woodman walked steadily, his tin body gleaming faintly even in the dim light. The lion padded beside them, his mane golden, his eyes shifting nervously from shadow to shadow. The silence of the forest was heavy. Every sound, the snap of a twig, the rustle of leaves, seemed louder, sharper. Ellie felt her heart beat faster, but she kept walking, her friends close beside her, Suddenly, the path narrowed. Thick vines hung down, twisting across the road. The group slowed, uncertain. The Scarecrow stepped forward first, his straw arms brushing the vines aside. But as he did, the ground beneath him shifted. A trap, hidden among the roots. He stumbled, nearly falling into a pit. Ellie gasped, reaching out. The Tin Woodman moved quickly, his strong arms pulling the Scarecrow back to safety. The lion roared, his voice echoing through the forest, scattering the birds that had gathered silently above. Ellie's heart raced, but she breathed deeply, calming herself. Together, they had faced the danger. Together, they had overcome it. As they continued, more challenges appeared. A fallen tree blocked the path. Its trunk was thick, heavy, impossible to move by hand. The Tin Woodman stepped forward, his axe gleaming. With steady strokes, he cut through the wood. The sound echoed through the forest, sharp and rhythmic, and soon the path was clear again. Ellie smiled, grateful for his strength. The Scarecrow clapped his straw hands together, delighted. The lion, though still nervous, walked with his head held a little higher. Later, as the forest grew even darker, they heard a sound. Soft, distant, like crying. Ellie paused, listening. The sound came from the shadows, from a small clearing just off the road. She stepped closer, her friends following. There, they found a tiny creature, a rabbit caught in a snare. Its eyes were wide with fear, its body trembling. Ellie knelt gently, her hands careful as she freed the rabbit from the trap. The creature hopped away, disappearing into the forest. But before it left, it paused, looking back at her with eyes full of gratitude. Ellie felt warmth in her heart. Kindness had guided her, just as the good witch had said. The forest was full of shadows, full of challenges. But with each step, Ellie and her companions grew stronger. They learned to trust one another. They learned that wisdom, strength, kindness, and courage could overcome even the darkest paths. And so together, they continued along the yellow brick road. The forest slowly began to thin. The trees grew shorter, the light brighter, and ahead, far in the distance, they saw a faint glow, the promise of something greater. Ellie's heart lifted. The Emerald City was drawing closer. The forest thinned gradually. The trees grew shorter, their branches less tangled. And then, with a sudden brightness, the companions stepped into open fields. The land stretched wide before them, painted in shades of green and gold. Tall grasses swayed in the breeze, shimmering like waves beneath the sun. Wildflowers bloomed in clusters, their petals glowing with colors so vivid they seemed to hum softly in the air. Ellie paused, her eyes wide, her heart lifting. After the shadows of the forest, the fields felt like a dream, open, endless, full of promise. Tatoshka barked happily, running ahead, his small paws brushing through the grass. The Scarecrow laughed, his straw rustling as he spun in a circle, delighted by the wide sky above. The Tin Woodman smiled quietly, his tin body gleaming in the sunlight. The lion walked with his head held higher, his mane glowing like fire in the golden light. As they moved forward, the yellow brick road wound gently through the fields. Its golden stones shone brightly, guiding them onward. The companions walked together, their steps steady, their spirits lifted. But even in this peaceful place, challenges appeared. The sun grew hot, its rays pressing down. Ellie felt her strength waver, her steps slowing. The Scarecrow stumbled, his straw body sagging. The Tin Woodman's tin grew warm, uncomfortable beneath the heat, and the lion panted heavily, his courage tested by exhaustion. Ellie paused, breathing deeply. She remembered the words of the good witch. Kindness will guide you. She looked around, searching for shade, for water, for relief. Not far from the road, she saw a small stream. Its water sparkled, cool and clear, winding gently through the grass. She called to her friends, and together they moved toward it. The scarecrow knelt, dipping his straw hands into the water, sighing with relief. The Tin Woodman cooled his joints, the metal softening beneath the touch of the stream. The lion drank deeply, his strength returning, and Ellie splashed her face, the coolness reviving her spirit. Totoshka barked joyfully, chasing the ripples as they danced across the surface. They rested there for a time, letting the water refresh them, letting the breeze carry away their weariness. Ellie felt gratitude for the stream, for her companions, for the journey itself. When they rose again, the road seemed brighter. The fields stretched endlessly, but now they felt welcoming, alive. The companions walked together, their steps lighter, their hearts stronger. As the day faded, the sky shifted into hues of orange and pink. The sun dipped low, casting long shadows across the fields. Ellie looked ahead, and far in the distance, she saw a faint glow, a shimmer of green rising like a jewel against the horizon. The Emerald City. Her heart lifted. Though the journey was not yet over, the promise of home, of answers, of hope lay ahead. Together, they continued along the yellow brick road, the fields glowing softly around them, the city waiting in the distance. The companions walked until the fields gave way to a wide river. Its waters shimmered beneath the sunlight, flowing steadily, carrying ripples that sparkled like silver threads. The yellow brick road ended at the riverbank, disappearing beneath the current. Ellie paused, her heart uncertain. "How will we cross?" she whispered. The scarecrow tilted his head, his straw rustling softly. "I cannot swim," he admitted. "If I fall into the water, I will sink." The Tin Woodman shook his head. "I too cannot swim. My tin body would rust, and I would be lost." The lion sighed deeply. "I am strong, but the river is wide. I fear I cannot carry all of you across." Ellie held Totoshka close, her eyes thoughtful. The challenge seemed impossible. But then she remembered. Together, they had faced the forest. Together, they had overcome traps and shadows. Perhaps together, they could solve this too. The scarecrow spoke first. "Let us build a raft," he suggested. "We have strength, we have tools, and we have courage. If we work together, we can cross." Ellie nodded, hope rising in her heart. The Tin Woodman lifted his axe, his movements steady. He cut branches from the nearby trees, shaping them into long, sturdy logs. The lion dragged the logs to the riverbank, his muscles straining, his mane glowing in the sunlight. The scarecrow tied the logs together with vines, his straw hands clumsy but determined. Ellie gathered smaller branches, weaving them into the raft's frame. Totoshka barked happily, running back and forth as if cheering them on. Hours passed, but slowly the raft took shape. It was rough, uneven, but strong enough to carry them. Ellie looked at it, her heart lifting. Together, they had built something that could carry them forward. The lion stepped onto the raft first, his paws steady. The scarecrow followed, his straw body light. The Tin Woodman moved carefully, his tin joints gleaming. Ellie climbed aboard, holding Totoshka close. The raft shifted beneath them, rocking gently. The river's current pulled at its edges, but it held. With long branches, they pushed against the riverbed, guiding the raft forward, The water splashed softly, cool and bright. The journey across was slow, but steady. At one point, the current grew stronger. The raft tilted, threatening to spill them into the water. Ellie gasped, clutching Totoshka tightly. The lion roared, steadying the raft with his weight. The Tin Woodman pushed hard against the riverbed, his strength holding them steady. The Scarecrow leaned, balancing the raft with careful movements. Together, they steadied it. Together, they crossed. At last, the raft touched the opposite bank. The companions stepped onto solid ground, their heart filled with relief. Ellie looked back at the river, shimmering beneath the sun. It had tested them, but they had overcome it. Not alone, but together. The yellow brick road appeared once more, winding onward. The Emerald City lay ahead, closer now, glowing faintly in the distance. Ellie smiled. Her journey was far from over, but with her friends beside her, she felt ready for whatever lay ahead. The companions walked until the fields gave way to a valley. At first, it seemed like a dream. The valley was filled with flowers, endless blossoms stretching as far as the eye could see. Their petals glowed with colors so vivid, they seemed to shimmer in the sunlight. The air was thick with fragrance, sweet and intoxicating. Ellie paused, her eyes wide. "It's beautiful," she whispered. The Scarecrow nodded, his straw rustling softly. The Tin Woodman gazed at the blossoms, his tin body gleaming. The lion sniffed the air, his mane stirring in the breeze. Totoshka barked happily, running ahead into the sea of flowers. But as they stepped into the valley, something strange began to happen. The fragrance grew heavier, wrapping around them like a soft, invisible blanket. Ellie felt her eyelids grow heavy, her steps slowed, her breath deepened. The Scarecrow stumbled, his straw body sagging. The Tin Woodman's movements grew sluggish, his joints stiffening. The lion yawned, his eyes drooping, his paws dragging across the ground. The flowers were enchanted. Their beauty hid a secret. They carried a magic that lulled travelers into sleep. Ellie tried to fight it. She held Totoshka close, whispering to herself, urging her body to stay awake. But the pull was strong, irresistible. The lion collapsed first, his great body sinking into the blossoms. His mane spread across the petals, golden against the sea of color. The Scarecrow fell next, his straw scattering as he landed softly among the flowers. The Tin Woodman knelt, his tin arms trembling, before he too grew still. Ellie's vision blurred. She felt herself slipping, her body heavy, her mind drifting. Totoshka barked frantically, tugging at her dress, trying to keep her awake. Ellie whispered, "We must keep going." But her voice faded, her strength waned. It was Totoshka who saved them. The little dog darted back and forth, barking loudly, pulling at Ellie's hand. His sharp cries pierced through the haze, stirring her mind. Ellie blinked, her breath quickening. She realized what was happening. The flowers were dangerous, their magic meant to trap them forever. With sudden determination, she rose to her feet. She pulled at the Scarecrow, dragging him toward the edge of the valley. The Tin Woodman, though weak, managed to move his arms, helping her. Together, they struggled, step by step, pulling their companions out of the enchanted blossoms. At last, they reached the far side of the valley. The air grew lighter, the fragrance faded. Ellie collapsed onto the grass, her chest rising and falling with deep breaths. The Scarecrow lay beside her, his straw rustling softly. The Tin Woodman sat quietly, his tin body cooling. The lion stirred, his eyes opening slowly, his mane trembling as he lifted his head. They had escaped. The flowers had tried to trap them, but together they had found the strength to resist. Ellie looked at Toshka, her eyes filled with gratitude. "You saved us," she whispered. The little dog wagged his tail, his eyes bright, his spirit unbroken. The yellow brick road stretched onward, winding beyond the valley. The Emerald City lay ahead, closer now, glowing faintly in the distance. Ellie rose, her friends beside her. Though weary, they felt stronger, for they had faced beauty that hid danger, and they had overcome it together. The companions walked until the road bent sharply, and then, rising before them, they saw it, the Emerald City. Its walls shimmered in the sunlight, glowing with a brilliance unlike anything they had ever seen. Tall towers rose high, their spires gleaming green, catching the light like jewels. The gates were vast, carved with patterns that seemed alive, glowing softly as if lit from within. Ellie gasped, her eyes wide. "It's beautiful," she whispered. The Scarecrow clapped his straw hands together, delighted. The Tin Woodman's tin body gleamed, reflecting the city's glow. The lion stood tall, his mane shining, his eyes filled with awe. Totoshka barked happily, his tail wagging furiously. As they approached, the gates loomed larger. A guard stood before them, dressed in green from head to toe. His hat was tall, his cloak shimmering, his eyes sharp but kind. "Who comes to the Emerald City?" he asked. Ellie stepped forward, her voice steady, though her heart raced. "My name is Ellie. I have come to see the wizard. I wish to return home. And my friends, they each seek something precious." The guard studied them carefully. The Scarecrow bowed awkwardly, his straw rustling. The Tin Woodman stood tall, his tin joints gleaming. The lion lowered his head respectfully, his mane falling around him. Totoshka barked once, as if to announce himself too. The guard smiled faintly. "You may enter," he said, "but first, you must wear these." He handed each of them a pair of spectacles, green glasses, shimmering softly. "Everyone who enters the Emerald City must wear them," he explained. "They protect your eyes from the brilliance of the emerald walls." Ellie placed the glasses on her face. The world shifted instantly. The city glowed even brighter, every stone, every tower, every street shimmering with green light. Her friends did the same, each marveling at the transformation. The gates opened slowly, their emerald glow spilling across the road. The companions stepped inside. The streets were wide, lined with houses and shops, all glowing green. The people wore green clothes, their faces kind, their voices soft. Everywhere the city shimmered, alive with light and color. Ellie felt her heart lift. She had reached the Emerald City. The wizard awaited. The guard led them through the streets, past fountains that sparkled like emerald rain, past gardens filled with glowing flowers. At last, they reached the palace, vast, towering, its walls gleaming brighter than anything they had seen before. Inside, the air was cool, filled with a quiet hum, as if the palace itself was alive. The guard bowed, his voice steady. "You will see the wizard, but each of you must go alone. He will decide how to appear to you." Ellie's heart trembled. She looked at her friends, each of them filled with hope, each of them ready to face the wizard. The journey had brought them here. The answers lay ahead. The palace doors opened slowly, their emerald glow spilling across the floor. The companions stepped inside, their eyes wide, their hearts trembling. The hall was vast, stretching endlessly, its walls lined with emerald stones that shimmered like stars. Tall pillars rose high, their surfaces glowing softly. The air was cool, filled with a quiet hum, as if the palace itself was alive. At the far end of the hall stood a throne, tall, gleaming, carved from emerald. It shimmered with a brilliance that seemed almost otherworldly. Ellie's breath caught. She held Totoshka close, her heart racing. Her friends stood beside her, each filled with hope, each ready to face the wizard. A voice echoed through the hall. It was deep, powerful, resonant, filling every corner of the room. Who comes before the wizard of the Emerald City? Ellie stepped forward, her voice trembling but steady. My name is Ellie. I have come to ask for your help. I wish to return home. And my friends, they each seek something precious. The voice grew louder, sharper. Step forward, child. Speak your truth. Ellie's heart pounded. She looked at her friends, each of them watching, each of them silently encouraging her. She took a deep breath, her courage rising. The wizard appeared, but not as a man. Instead, he appeared as a great head, floating above the throne. It was vast, glowing, its eyes sharp, its voice thunderous. Ellie gasped, her body trembling. The scarecrow stumbled back, his straw rustling in alarm. The Tin Woodman froze, his tin body gleaming faintly. The lion crouched low, his mane trembling, his courage tested. Totoshka barked furiously, his small body defiant. The wizard's voice filled the hall. You seek my help, but help is not given freely. You must prove yourselves worthy. Ellie's heart sank. What must we do? She whispered. The wizard's eyes glowed brighter. There is a wicked witch who rules in the west. She spreads fear. She brings darkness. If you wish my help, you must destroy her. Only then will I grant your wishes. The hall grew silent. Ellie's breath quickened. Her friends looked at one another, their hearts heavy. The scarecrow whispered, A brain. I must try. The Tin Woodman murmured, A heart. I must hope. The lion trembled. Courage. I must find it. Ellie held Totoshka close, whispering, Home. I must believe. The wizard's voice echoed once more. Go now. Face the witch. Return only when the task is done. The companions stepped back, their hearts filled with fear and determination. The great hall shimmered around them, the wizard's presence heavy, his command clear. Ellie looked at her friends. Though the path ahead was dark, though the challenge was great, she felt a quiet strength within her. Together, they would face the witch. Together, they would find their way. The companions left the palace, their hearts heavy with the task ahead. The streets of the Emerald City shimmered around them, glowing with green light. But beyond the gates lay a different world, darker, harsher, filled with shadows. The guard bowed as they passed. Be careful, he said softly. The witch is cunning. She will not let you reach her easily. Ellie nodded, her silver shoes glimmering faintly. She held Totoshka close, whispering to him, We must be brave. The yellow brick road stretched westward, winding through hills and valleys. At first, the land seemed calm. The air was cool, the sky wide, the fields quiet. But as they walked further, the colors began to fade. The grass grew thin, the flowers wilted, the sky dimmed. Ellie felt a chill in the air. The scarecrow's straw rustled uneasily. The Tin Woodman's tin joints creaked softly. The lion's mane trembled, his eyes shifting nervously. Totoshka barked once, his small body tense. They were entering the witch's domain. The road grew rough, broken in places, scattered with stones. The companions moved carefully, their steps slower, their voices hushed. Every sound seemed sharper, The cry of a crow, the snap of a twig, the whisper of the wind. Ellie's heart raced, but she breathed deeply, calming herself. She remembered the words of the good witch, "Kindness will guide you." She held on to that thought, letting it steady her. The guard led them through the streets, past fountains that sparkled like emerald rain, past gardens filled with glowing flowers. At last, they reached the palace, vast, towering, its walls gleaming brighter than anything they had seen before. Inside, the air was cool, filled with a quiet hum, as if the palace itself was alive. The guard bowed, his voice steady. "You will see the wizard, but each of you must go alone. He will decide how to appear to you." Ellie's heart trembled. She looked at her friends, each of them filled with hope, each of them ready to face the wizard. The journey had brought them here. The answers lay ahead. The palace doors opened slowly, their emerald glow spilling across the floor. The companions stepped inside, their eyes wide, their hearts trembling. The hall was vast, stretching endlessly, its walls lined with emerald stones that shimmered like stars. Tall pillars rose high, their surfaces glowing softly. The air was cool, filled with a quiet hum, as if the palace itself was alive. At the far end of the hall stood a throne, tall, gleaming, carved from emerald. It shimmered with a brilliance that seemed almost otherworldly. Ellie's breath caught. She held Totoshka close, her heart racing. Her friends stood beside her, each filled with hope, each ready to face the wizard. A voice echoed through the hall. It was deep, powerful, resonant, filling every corner of the room. "Who comes before the wizard of the Emerald City?" Ellie stepped forward, her voice trembling but steady. "My name is Ellie. I have come to ask for your help. I wish to return home, and my friends, they each seek something precious." The voice grew louder, sharper. "Step forward, child. Speak your truth." Ellie's heart pounded. She looked at her friends, each of them watching, each of them silently encouraging her. She took a deep breath, her courage rising. The wizard appeared, but not as a man. Instead, he appeared as a great head, floating above the throne. It was vast, glowing, its eyes sharp, its voice thunderous. Ellie gasped, her body trembling. The scarecrow stumbled back, his straw rustling in alarm. The Tin Woodman froze, his tin body gleaming faintly. The lion crouched low, his mane trembling, his courage tested. Totoshka barked furiously, his small body defiant. The wizard's voice filled the hall. "You seek my help, but help is not given freely. You must prove yourselves worthy." Ellie's heart sank. "What must we do?" she whispered. The wizard's eyes glowed brighter. "There is a wicked witch who rules in the west. She spreads fear. She brings darkness. If you wish my help, you must destroy her. Only then will I grant your wishes." The hall grew silent. Ellie's breath quickened. Her friends looked at one another, their hearts heavy. The scarecrow whispered, "A brain. I must try." The Tin Woodman murmured, "A heart. I must hope." The lion trembled. "Courage. I must find it." Ellie held Totoshka close, whispering, "Home. I must believe." The wizard's voice echoed once more. "Go now. Face the witch. Return only when the task is done." The companions stepped back, their hearts filled with fear and determination. The great hall shimmered around them, the wizard's presence heavy, his command clear. Ellie looked at her friends. Though the path ahead was dark, though the challenge was great, she felt a quiet strength within her. Together, they would face the witch. Together, they would find their way. The companions left the palace, their hearts heavy with the task ahead. The streets of the Emerald City shimmered around them, glowing with green light. But beyond the gates lay a different world, darker, harsher, filled with shadows. The guard bowed as they passed. "Be careful," he said softly. "The witch is cunning. She will not let you reach her easily." Ellie nodded, her silver shoes glimmering faintly. She held Totoshka close, whispering to him, "We must be brave." The yellow brick road stretched westward, winding through hills and valleys. At first, the land seemed calm. The air was cool, the sky wide, the fields quiet. But as they walked further, the colors began to fade. The grass grew thin, the flowers wilted, the sky dimmed. Ellie felt a chill in the air. The scarecrow's straw rustled uneasily. The Tin Woodman's tin joints creaked softly. The lion's mane trembled, his eyes shifting nervously. Totoshka barked once, his small body tense. They were entering the witch's domain. The road grew rough, broken in places, scattered with stones. The companions moved carefully, their steps slower, their voices hushed. Every sound seemed sharper, the cry of a crow, the snap of a twig, the whisper of the wind. Ellie's heart raced, but she breathed deeply, calming herself. She remembered the words of the good witch, "Kindness will guide you." She held on to that thought, letting it steady her. As they walked, the witch's magic began to stir. Dark clouds gathered above, blocking the sun. The air grew heavy, filled with a strange hum. The ground trembled softly, as if alive. Suddenly, a swarm of black crows descended, their wings beating furiously, their cries sharp. They circled the companions, swooping low, their beaks snapping. Ellie gasped, shielding Totoshka. The scarecrow waved his straw arms, trying to drive them away. The Tin Woodman swung his axe, the metal flashing. The lion roared, his voice echoing, scattering the birds. Together, they fought. Together, they stood strong. At last, the crows fled, disappearing into the dark sky. The companions breathed deeply, their hearts pounding. They had faced the witch's first test, and they had overcome it. The road stretched onward, winding deeper into the west. The land grew darker, the air colder, the silence heavier. But Ellie felt a quiet strength within her. Her friends were beside her. Together, they would face whatever lay ahead. The companions walked until the road bent sharply. The land grew harsher, the sky dimmer, the air colder. The grass was thin, the soil cracked, the silence heavy. Ellie held Totoshka close, her silver shoes glimmering faintly. The scarecrow's straw rustled uneasily. The Tin Woodman's tin joints creaked softly. The lion's mane trembled, his eyes shifting nervously. They were deep in the witch's domain. Suddenly, a howl echoed through the night. It was sharp, fierce, filled with hunger. Ellie froze, her heart racing. Totoshka barked furiously, his small body trembling. From the shadows, wolves appeared. Their eyes glowed, their teeth bared, their bodies lean and strong. They circled the companions, growling, their voices low and threatening. Ellie gasped, shielding Totoshka. The scarecrow stumbled back, his straw rustling in alarm. The Tin Woodman raised his axe, his tin body gleaming faintly. The lion crouched low, his muscles tense, his mane bristling. The wolves lunged. The Tin Woodman swung his axe, the metal flashing. He struck with precision, his movement strong, his tin body unyielding. The scarecrow waved his straw arms, clumsy but determined, distracting the wolves. The lion roared, his voice echoing, scattering the pack. Ellie held Totoshka close, whispering softly, calming him. Her heart raced, but she breathed deeply, steadying herself. The battle was fierce, but together they stood strong. The Tin Woodman's strength, the Scarecrow's quickness, the Lion's roar, each played a part. Together they drove the wolves back. At last, the pack fled, disappearing into the shadows. The companions breathed deeply, their hearts pounding, their bodies trembling. They had faced the witch's wolves, and they had overcome them. Ellie looked at her friends, her eyes filled with gratitude. "You were brave," she whispered. The Scarecrow smiled awkwardly, his straw rustling. The Tin Woodman bowed his head quietly. The Lion trembled, but his eyes shone with pride. Totoshka wagged his tail, his spirit unbroken. The yellow brick road stretched onward, winding deeper into the west. The land grew darker, the silence heavier, the danger greater. But Ellie felt a quiet strength within her. Her friends were beside her. Together, they would face whatever lay ahead. The companions walked until the road bent sharply. The land grew darker, the sky dimmer, the silence heavier. Ellie held Totoshka close, her silver shoes glimmering faintly. The Scarecrow's straw rustled uneasily. The Tin Woodman's tin joints creaked softly. The Lion's mane trembled, his eyes shifting nervously. Suddenly, the air filled with a strange sound. The beating of wings. It grew louder, sharper, echoing across the land. Ellie looked up, her heart racing. From the clouds descended creatures, unlike any she had ever seen. They were winged servants of the witch, half men, half beasts. Their wings were vast, their claws sharp, their eyes glowing with malice. They circled the companions, swooping low, their cries piercing the air. Ellie gasped, shielding Totoshka. The Scarecrow stumbled back, his straw rustling in alarm. The Tin Woodman raised his axe, his tin body gleaming faintly. The Lion crouched low, his muscles tense, his mane bristling. The winged creatures attacked. They swooped down, their claws reaching, their wings beating furiously. The Scarecrow waved his straw arms, clumsy but determined, distracting them. The Tin Woodman struck with his axe, his movements strong, his tin body unyielding. The Lion roared, his voice echoing, scattering the creatures. Ellie held Totoshka close, whispering softly, calming him. The battle was fierce, but together they stood strong. At last, the creatures fled, disappearing into the dark sky. The companions breathed deeply, their hearts pounding, their bodies trembling. They had faced the witch's winged servants, and they had overcome them. Ellie looked at her friends, her eyes filled with gratitude. "You were brave," she whispered. The Scarecrow smiled awkwardly, his straw rustling. The Tin Woodman bowed his head quietly. The Lion trembled, but his eyes shone with pride. Totoshka wagged his tail, his spirit unbroken. The yellow brick road stretched onward, winding deeper into the west. The land grew darker, the silence heavier, the danger greater. But Ellie felt a quiet strength within her. Her friends were beside her. Together, they would face whatever lay ahead. The companions walked until the land grew barren. The grass was gone, the soil cracked, the air heavy with smoke. The sky was dim, filled with clouds that swirled like ash. And then, rising before them, they saw it, the witch's castle. Its walls were tall, jagged, blackened by fire. Its towers leaned crookedly, their spires sharp against the sky. The gates were vast, iron and rusted, glowing faintly with strange light. Ellie's breath caught. She held Totoshka close, whispering softly, "We must be brave." The Scarecrow's straw rustled uneasily. The Tin Woodman's tin joints creaked softly. The Lion's mane trembled, his eyes shifting nervously. They were at the witch's door. The gates opened slowly, their iron groaning. Inside, the castle was dark, its halls filled with shadows. Torches flickered faintly, casting long, twisted shapes across the walls. The air was thick, heavy, filled with the scent of smoke and decay. The companions stepped carefully, their footsteps echoing. Every sound seemed louder, sharper, as if the castle itself was alive. Suddenly, a voice echoed through the halls. It was sharp, cruel, filled with malice. "So, you have come to challenge me." Ellie froze, her heart racing. The witch appeared, tall, cloaked in black, her eyes glowing with fire. Her presence was heavy, her power undeniable. The witch laughed, her voice echoing. "You think you can defeat me? You are nothing. A child, a scarecrow, a tin man, a cowardly lion, and a dog. You cannot stand against me." Ellie's breath quickened, but she held Tatoshka close, whispering softly, calming herself. Her friends stood beside her, each trembling, each filled with fear. But together they faced her. The scarecrow stepped forward, his straw rustling. "We may not be strong alone," he said softly, "but together we are more than you think." The Tin Woodman raised his axe, his tin body gleaming faintly. The lion roared, his voice echoing, scattering the shadows. Ellie's silver shoes glimmered, their light faint but steady. The witch's eyes narrowed. Her power filled the hall, her magic swirling. The battle was about to begin. The witch raised her hands, her cloak swirling, her eyes glowing with fire. Dark energy filled the hall, swirling like smoke, pressing against the companions. Ellie gasped, holding Tatoshka close. The scarecrow stumbled, his straw rustling. The Tin Woodman's tin body trembled, his joints creaking. The lion crouched low, his mane bristling, his courage tested. The witch's voice thundered, "You cannot defeat me. I am power. I am fear. I am darkness itself." She sent shadows rushing forward, twisting shapes that clawed at the companions. The scarecrow waved his straw arms, clumsy but determined, blocking their path. The Tin Woodman swung his axe, his movements strong, his tin body gleaming faintly. The lion roared, his voice echoing, scattering the shadows. Ellie whispered softly, calming Tatoshka, steadying herself. The witch laughed, her voice sharp. "You fight, but you will fall." Ellie's heart raced, but she remembered the words of the good witch. "Kindness will guide you." She looked down at her silver shoes, glowing faintly. She felt a warmth rise within her, a strength she hadn't known before. She stepped forward, her voice steady. "You may have power," she said softly, "but we have hope. We have courage. We have each other." The witch's eyes narrowed, her fury rising. She sent fire rushing across the hall, flames twisting, burning. The Tin Woodman shielded Ellie, his tin body glowing red with heat. The scarecrow pulled her back, his straw rustling. The lion leapt forward, scattering the flames with his roar. Together, they stood strong. Ellie's eyes fell upon a bucket of water, left forgotten in the corner of the hall. She remembered the stories. Water was the witch's weakness. Her heart raced, her courage rising. She ran forward, lifting the bucket, her arms trembling but steady. The witch turned, her eyes wide, her voice sharp. "No!" she screamed. Ellie threw the water. It splashed across the witch, soaking her cloak, her face, her hands. The witch shrieked, her voice echoing through the hall. Her body trembled, her power fading. She melted slowly, her form dissolving, her laughter turning to cries. At last, she was gone. The hall grew silent. The shadows faded. The air grew lighter. Ellie held Tatoshka close, her breath quickening. Her friends stood beside her, their eyes wide, their hearts steady. They had faced the witch, and they had won. The castle grew quiet, its darkness lifting. The companions breathed deeply, their spirits rising. The road to the Emerald City lay open once more. The companions left the castle, its gates creaking as they closed behind them. The land around them began to change. The sky grew lighter, the clouds faded, the air softened. The witch's darkness was gone. Ellie held Tatoshka close, her silver shoes glimmering faintly. The scarecrow's straw rustled cheerfully. The Tin Woodman's tin body gleamed, his joints moving freely. The lion walked tall, his mane glowing in the sunlight. Together, they stepped onto the yellow brick road once more. As they walked, the land grew brighter. The grass returned, green and soft. Flowers bloomed, their petals glowing with color. Birds sang, their voices filling the air with joy. The people of the West emerged from their homes, their faces filled with gratitude. They bowed to Ellie and her friends, whispering softly, "The witch is gone. You have freed us." Ellie smiled, her heart lifting. She felt warmth in their words, kindness in their eyes. Her friends stood proudly beside her, each filled with quiet joy. The road stretched onward, winding back toward the Emerald City. The towers shimmered in the distance, glowing green against the sky. Ellie's heart raced. They had faced darkness, and now they would claim the promises the wizard had made. The scarecrow whispered, "Perhaps now I will have a brain." The Tin Woodman murmured, "Perhaps now I will have a heart." The lion trembled, "Perhaps now I will have courage." Ellie held Tatoshka close, whispering, "Perhaps now I will go home." At last, they reached the gates of the Emerald City. The guard stood waiting, his cloak shimmering, his eyes kind. He bowed deeply. "You have returned," he said softly, "and you have done what no one else could. The witch is gone." He opened the gates, and the companions stepped inside. The streets glowed with green light. The people cheered, their voices rising in joy. The palace loomed ahead, its walls shimmering brighter than ever. Ellie's heart lifted. The wizard awaited. The palace doors opened slowly, their emerald glow spilling across the floor. The companions stepped inside, their eyes wide, their hearts trembling. The great hall shimmered, its walls glowing with green light. The throne loomed at the far end, tall and gleaming. The wizard's voice echoed, deep and powerful. "You have returned," he thundered, "and you have done what I commanded. The witch is gone." Ellie stepped forward, her voice steady. "Yes," she said softly. "We faced her, we defeated her, and now we ask for what you promised." The scarecrow bowed awkwardly, his straw rustling. "I wish for a brain." The Tin Woodman stood tall, his tin body gleaming. "I wished for a heart." The lion trembled, his mane bristling. "I wish for courage." Ellie held Tatoshka close, her silver shoes glimmering faintly. "I wish to return home." The hall grew silent. The wizard's voice echoed once more. "You shall have what you seek." But then, something strange happened. The voice faltered, grew weaker. Ellie's eyes narrowed. She stepped closer to the throne. Behind the emerald curtain, she saw movement. She pulled it aside and gasped. There was no great head, no glowing figure. Instead, there stood a man, ordinary, small, dressed in green. His eyes were kind but nervous, his hands trembling. Ellie whispered, "You are the wizard?" The man bowed his head. "Yes," he said softly. "I am the wizard, but I am not what you thought. I am no magician, no sorcerer. I am only a man." The companions stared, their hearts heavy. The scarecrow's straw rustled uneasily. The Tin Woodman's tin body gleamed faintly. The lion trembled, his courage faltering. Ellie held Tatoshka close, her breath quickening. The wizard sighed deeply. I came here long ago by accident. The people believed me powerful, and I let them. I built this city, I ruled it, but I'm only human. I cannot grant magic. I cannot send you home. Ellie's heart sank. Her friends looked at one another, their hopes fading. But then the wizard's eyes softened. Yet perhaps I can help in other ways, he said gently. To the scarecrow, I can give wisdom, not a brain, but knowledge. To the Tin Woodman, I can give kindness, not a heart, but compassion. To the lion, I can give confidence, not courage itself, but the belief that it is already within him. And to you, Ellie, perhaps your silver shoes hold the secret of your journey home. Ellie's breath caught. Her silver shoes glimmered faintly, their light steady. Hope stirred once more. The wizard looked at the scarecrow first. You wish for a brain, he said softly. I cannot give you one, but I can give you something that will remind you of the wisdom already within you. He handed the scarecrow a small scroll, tied with a green ribbon. Inside are words of knowledge. Carry them, and you will believe in your own mind. The scarecrow's straw rustled with joy. He bowed awkwardly, whispering, Thank you. I feel wiser already. The wizard turned to the Tin Woodman. You wish for a heart, he said gently. I cannot give you one, but I can give you something that will remind you of the kindness already within you. He placed a small velvet pouch in the Tin Woodman's hands. Inside was a heart-shaped charm, glowing faintly. Carry this, and you will believe in your compassion. The Tin Woodman's tin body gleamed. He bowed his head, whispering, Thank you. I feel love already. The wizard looked at the lion. You wish for courage, he said firmly. I cannot give you courage, but I can give you something that will remind you of the strength already within you. He placed a medal around the lion's neck, its surface shining with emerald light. Wear this, and you will believe in your bravery. The lion trembled, his mane bristling. He lifted his head proudly, whispering, Thank you. I feel brave already. At last, the wizard turned to Ellie. You wish to return home, he said softly. I cannot take you there, but perhaps your silver shoes hold the secret. They are powerful, more than you know. Ellie looked down at her shoes, their light shimmering faintly. Her heart raced, hope rising. She held Tatoshka close, whispering, Perhaps they will carry me home. The wizard bowed his head. I believe they will. When the time comes, you will know how to use them. The companions stood together, their gifts in hand, their hearts lifted. The scarecrow felt wisdom. The Tin Woodman felt kindness. The lion felt courage. And Ellie felt hope. Though the wizard was only a man, his gifts carried truth. The truth that what they sought had been within them all along. The wizard looked at Ellie, his eyes kind but uncertain. I cannot send you home, he said softly. But your silver shoes, they are powerful. Perhaps they hold the secret. Ellie gazed down at her shoes. They shimmered faintly, their light steady, their surface glowing as if alive. Her heart raced, hope rising. The scarecrow stepped forward, his straw rustling. You have walked far in those shoes, he said gently. Perhaps they will carry you further still. The Tin Woodman bowed his head. They shine with magic. Trust them. The lion trembled, but his voice was steady. They will take you where your heart longs to be. Ellie held Tatoshka close. whispering softly, "Home." The wizard explained, his voice calm. "Stand tall, close your eyes, think of where you wish to go, and tap your shoes together 3 times. Their magic will carry you." Ellie's breath quickened. She looked at her friends, her eyes filled with gratitude. "You have given me courage," she whispered. "You have given me strength. You have given me love. I will never forget you." The scarecrow bowed awkwardly, his straw rustling. "Remember me when you think wisely." The Tin Woodman's tin body gleamed. "Remember me when you feel kindness." The lion lifted his head proudly. "Remember me when you are brave." Ellie's eyes filled with tears. She hugged each of them, holding them close, her heart heavy with love. At last, she stood tall. She closed her eyes. She thought of home, of her little house, of her aunt and uncle, of the fields she had left behind, her heart filled with longing, with hope, with love. She tapped her silver shoes together once, twice, 3 times. The palace shimmered, the air grew bright. A soft wind rose, lifting her gently. The world spun, glowing, fading, shifting. Ellie held Totoshka close, whispering, "We are going home." The light surrounded Ellie, soft and warm. She held Totoshka close, whispering, "We are going home." Her heart raced, her breath quickened, her body lifted gently. The Emerald City faded. The scarecrow, the Tin Woodman, the lion. Their faces shimmered, their voices echoed softly. "Remember us," they whispered. Ellie's eyes filled with tears. "I will never forget you," she whispered back. The world spun faster, glowing brighter, until at last, silence. Ellie opened her eyes. She was lying in her own bed, in her own little house. The walls were familiar, the air warm, the light soft. Outside, the fields stretched wide, green and calm. Totoshka barked happily, running across the room. Ellie laughed, her heart lifting. She was home. Her aunt entered, her eyes filled with relief. "Ellie," she cried, "you're safe. You're here." Ellie hugged her tightly, whispering, "I missed you. I missed home." But though she was home, her heart carried the journey within it. She remembered the scarecrow, his wisdom hidden in straw. She remembered the Tin Woodman, his kindness shining through tin. She remembered the lion, his courage rising from fear. And she remembered the Emerald City, its towers glowing, its people kind. Each friend had given her something precious. Each step had taught her something true. And though she was home, she knew she would carry them with her forever. Ellie sat quietly. Totoshka curled beside her. She looked at her silver shoes, shimmering faintly. Their magic had carried her far, but now they were only shoes, reminders of a journey that had changed her heart. She whispered softly, "Thank you." Her eyes closed, her breath slowed, her body rested. She was home, safe, loved, and forever changed. Ellie sat by the window. Totoshka curled at her feet. The fields stretched wide outside, calm and green, the sky soft with the evening light. She looked at her silver shoes, shimmering faintly, and thought of all she had seen. She remembered the scarecrow, his wisdom hidden in straw. He had taught her that cleverness is not in what others give you, but in what you discover within yourself. She smiled softly, whispering, "He was wise all along." She remembered the Tin Woodman, his kindness shining through tin. He had taught her that love is not in a beating heart, but in the way you care for others. Her eyes warmed, whispering, "He loved all along." She remembered the lion, his courage rising from fear. He had taught her that bravery is not the absence of fear, but the strength to face it. Her breath deepened, whispering, was brave all along, and she remembered the Emerald City, its towers glowing, its people kind. She remembered the wizard, ordinary yet wise, who showed her that power is not always magic, but truth. She remembered the journey, the rivers, the flowers, the wolves, the winged servants, the witch's castle. Each step had tested her. Each trial had taught her. Each friend had given her something precious. Ellie's heart filled with gratitude. She whispered softly, "I will carry you with me always." Her aunt entered quietly, placing a hand on her shoulder. "You seem far away," she said gently. Ellie smiled, her eyes soft. "I was far away," she whispered, "but now I am home." Her aunt nodded, her eyes filled with love. "You are safe. That is all that matters." Ellie hugged her tightly, her heart steady. She was home, but she knew her journey would guide her forever. As night fell, Ellie lay in her bed, Totoshka curled beside her. She closed her eyes, her breath slow, her body resting. She dreamed of the yellow brick road, of the friends she had made, of the lessons she had learned. Her journey was complete, but its light would shine within her always. The morning sun rose gently over the fields. Ellie stepped outside, Totoshka running happily at her side. The air was fresh, the sky wide, the earth calm. She looked around, her eyes soft, her heart steady. Everything was familiar: the little house, the garden, the path leading to the fields. Yet everything felt different. She saw the world not as it was, but as it could be. When she worked in the garden, she remembered the scarecrow. His wisdom guided her hands. His cleverness whispered in her thoughts. She smiled softly, whispering, "You taught me to think." When she cared for the animals, she remembered the Tin Woodman. His kindness filled her heart. His compassion shaped her actions. She stroked the horse's mane gently, whispering, "You taught me to love." When she faced challenges, she remembered the lion. His courage rose within her. His strength steadied her. She stood tall, whispering, "You taught me to be brave." Her aunt watched her quietly, noticing the change. "You seem stronger," she said softly. Ellie smiled, her eyes warm. "I am," she whispered. "I have learned much." Her aunt nodded, her heart filled with pride. "You have grown," she said gently, "and you will carry it with you always." Ellie hugged her tightly, whispering, "Yes, always." At night, Ellie sat by the window. Totoshka curled beside her. She looked at the stars, shimmering faintly, and thought of the Emerald City. She thought of her friends, their faces glowing, their voices kind. She whispered softly, "I will never forget you." Her silver shoes rested quietly by her bed. Their magic was gone, but their memory remained. They were reminders of a journey that had changed her heart forever. Ellie closed her eyes, her breath slow, her body resting. She dreamed of the yellow brick road, of the friends she had made, of the lessons she had learned. Her life was ordinary once more, but within her the extraordinary lived on. The morning sun rose gently over the fields. Ellie stepped outside, Totoshka running happily at her side. The air was fresh, the sky wide, the earth calm. She looked around, her eyes soft, her heart steady. Her aunt watched her quietly, noticing the change. "You seem different," she said softly. Ellie smiled, her eyes warm. "I am," she whispered. "I have learned much." When challenges arose, Ellie remembered the scarecrow. His wisdom guided her thoughts. His cleverness whispered in her mind. She solved problems with patience, with creativity, with trust in herself. She whispered softly, "You taught me to think." When kindness was needed, Ellie remembered the Tin Woodman. His compassion filled her heart. His gentleness shaped her actions. She cared for others with love, with warmth, with tenderness. She whispered softly, "You taught me to love." When fear appeared, Ellie remembered the lion. His courage rose within her. His strength steadied her. She faced the unknown with bravery, with hope, with determination. She whispered softly, "You taught me to be brave." Her days were ordinary, yet filled with quiet magic. She saw beauty in the fields, in the sky, in the laughter of Totoshka. She found joy in small moments, in simple kindness, in gentle courage. Her journey had taught her that magic is not only in emerald towers, but in the way we live each day. At night, Ellie sat by the window. Totoshka curled beside her. She looked at the stars, shimmering faintly, and thought of her friends. She thought of the scarecrow, the Tin Woodman, the lion. She whispered softly, "I will carry you with me always." Her silver shoes rested quietly by her bed. They were no longer magical, but they were reminders of a road walked, of lessons learned, of friends loved. Ellie closed her eyes, her breath slow, her body resting, her future stretched wide before her, filled with hope, filled with light. Ellie sat by the window. Totoshka curled beside her. The stars shimmered faintly, the night calm, the air soft. She looked out across the fields, her eyes filled with wonder. Her journey had taught her that magic is not only in emerald towers, but in the way we live each day. She saw adventure in the sunrise, in the laughter of her aunt, in the wagging tail of Totoshka. She whispered softly, "The world is full of magic." In her dreams, she walked once more along the yellow brick road. The scarecrow appeared, his straw rustling, his eyes kind. "You have wisdom," he whispered. "Use it to guide others." The Tin Woodman appeared, his tin body gleaming, his voice gentle. "You have kindness," he whispered. "Use it to heal hearts." The lion appeared, his mane glowing, his roar steady. "You have courage," he whispered. "Use it to face the unknown." Ellie's heart filled with gratitude. She whispered softly, "I will carry you with me always." Her days were ordinary, yet filled with quiet adventure. She helped her aunt in the garden, finding joy in each seed planted. She cared for the animals, finding love in each gentle touch. She faced challenges with courage, finding strength in each step forward. Each moment was a new adventure. Each day was a journey. Each breath was a gift. At night, Ellie dreamed of distant lands. She saw rivers and forests, mountains and valleys, skies filled with stars. She dreamed of journeys yet to come, of friends yet to meet, of lessons yet to learn. Her silver shoes shimmered faintly, resting quietly by her bed. They were no longer magical, but they were reminders of a road walked, of lessons learned, of friends loved. Ellie closed her eyes, her breath slow, her body resting. Her dreams carried her gently, filled with hope, filled with light. Each morning, Ellie woke with a sense of wonder. The fields stretched wide, the sky glowed softly. The air carried the scent of earth and grass. She looked around, her eyes warm, her heart steady. Her journey had taught her that every day holds adventure. She saw magic in the sunrise, in the laughter of her aunt, in the wagging tail of Totoshka. She whispered softly, "The world is full of light." When she faced choices, Ellie remembered her friends. The scarecrow's wisdom guided her thoughts. She paused, reflected, and trusted her mind. She whispered softly, "You taught me to think." The Tin Woodman's kindness filled her heart. She cared for others with gentleness, with compassion, with love. She whispered softly, You taught me to love. A lion's courage rose within her. She faced the unknown with bravery, with hope, with strength. She whispered softly, "You taught me to be brave." Her dreams carried her further still. At night, she walked once more along the yellow brick road. She saw the Emerald City, its towers glowing. She saw her friends, their faces kind, their voices steady. They whispered softly, "Carry us with you always." Ellie's heart filled with gratitude. She whispered back, "I will." Her aunt noticed the change. "You seem wiser," she said softly. Ellie smiled, her eyes warm. "I am," she whispered. "My journey taught me much." Her aunt nodded, her heart filled with pride. "You will carry it with you always." Ellie hugged her tightly, whispering, "Yes, always." Her silver shoes rested quietly by her bed. They were no longer magical, but they were reminders of a road walked, of lessons learned, of friends loved. Ellie looked at them each night, her heart steady, her breath calm. She whispered softly, "Thank you." Her dreams guided her life. Her days were ordinary, yet filled with quiet adventure. Her nights were peaceful, yet filled with gentle magic. Her journey was complete, but its light shone within her always. Ellie sat by the fire, Totoshka curled at her feet. Her aunt listened quietly, her eyes warm, her heart steady. Ellie spoke softly, telling of the yellow brick road, of the Emerald City, of the friends she had met. She told of the scarecrow, his wisdom hidden in straw. She told of the Tin Woodman, his kindness shining through tin. She told of the lion, his courage rising from fear. She told of the wizard, ordinary yet wise, who showed her that power is not always magic, but truth. Her aunt's eyes filled with wonder. "You lived all this," she whispered. Ellie nodded, her voice calm. "Yes, and it taught me much." Soon neighbors gathered to hear her story. Children sat wide-eyed, their hearts racing with excitement. Adults listened quietly, their faces filled with thought. Ellie spoke gently, her words steady. She told them that wisdom is not given, but discovered. She told them that kindness is not in a heart alone, but in the way we care for others. She told them that courage is not the absence of fear, but the strength to face it. Her words carried softly, filling the room with light. Her story became more than a tale. It became a lesson. The children whispered to one another, "We can be wise." The adults murmured softly, "We can be kind." The elders nodded, "We can be brave." Ellie's heart filled with joy. Her journey hadn't ended. It lived on in the hearts of those who listened. At night, Ellie sat quietly. Totoshka curled beside her. She looked at the stars, shimmering faintly, and thought of her friends. She whispered softly, "I have shared your gifts. They live on." Her silver shoes rested quietly by her bed. They were no longer magical, but they were reminders of a road walked, of lessons learned, of friends loved. Ellie closed her eyes, her breath slow, her body resting. Her story had become part of the world. Her journey had become a gift to others. The village gathered often to hear Ellie's tale. Children sat wide-eyed, their hearts racing with excitement. Adults listened quietly, their faces filled with thought. Elders nodded, their eyes warm, their voices steady. Ellie spoke gently, her words calm. She told them that wisdom is not given, but discovered. She told them that kindness is not in a heart alone, but in the way we care for others. She told them that courage is not the absence of fear, but the strength to face it. Her words carried softly, filling the room with light. Her story became more than a tale. It became a lesson, Soon, the village began to change. Children helped one another, sharing toys, sharing laughter. Adults worked together, solving the problems with patience and care. Elders guided gently, their wisdom shaping the days. Ellie watched quietly, her heart filled with joy. Her journey had not ended. It lived on in the hearts of those around her. Her aunt noticed the change. "You have given them something precious," she said softly. Ellie smiled, her eyes warm. "I only shared what I learned," she whispered, "but it has grown into something greater." Her aunt nodded, her heart steady. "You have given them hope." Ellie hugged her tightly, whispering, "Yes, hope." At night, Ellie sat by the window. Tatoshka curled beside her. She looked at the stars, shimmering faintly, and thought of her friends. She thought of the scarecrow, the tin woodman, the lion. She whispered softly, "Your gifts live on. They shine here, in every heart." Her silver shoes rested quietly by her bed. They were no longer magical, but they were reminders of a road walked, of lessons learned, of friends loved. Ellie closed her eyes, her breath slow, her body resting. Her community glowed with wisdom, kindness, and courage. Her journey had become a gift to all. One day, a storm swept across the fields. The sky grew dark, the wind howled, the rain poured. The villagers gathered, their hearts trembling, their voices uncertain. Ellie stood tall, Totoshka at her side. She remembered the scarecrow's wisdom, the tin woodman's kindness, the lion's courage. She whispered softly, "We will face this together." The villagers worked side by side. They strengthened the fences, sheltered the animals, secured the houses. Children carried water. Adults lifted wood. Elders guided with calm voices. Ellie moved among them, her heart steady. She offered wisdom, kindness, and courage, gifts she had carried from her journey. Her words calmed, her actions guided, her presence lifted spirits. The storm raged, but the village stood strong. When the storm passed, the sky cleared, the air softened, the earth glowed. The villagers looked around, their hearts filled with relief. They had faced the challenge together, and they had prevailed. Ellie smiled softly, whispering, "This is the magic of friendship." Her aunt hugged her tightly, whispering, "You have given us strength." Ellie's eyes warmed. "I only shared what I learned," she whispered, "but together we are stronger." At night, Ellie sat by the window. Tatoshka curled beside her. She looked at the stars, shimmering faintly, and thought of her friends. She thought of the scarecrow, the tin woodman, the lion. She whispered softly, "Your gifts live here. They shine in every heart." Her silver shoes rested quietly by her bed. They were no longer magical, but they were reminders of a road walked, of lessons learned, of friends loved. Ellie closed her eyes, her breath slow, her body resting. Her community glowed with wisdom, kindness, and courage. Her journey had become a gift to all. Ellie sat quietly by the window. Totoshka curled beside her. The stars shimmered faintly, the night calm, the air soft. She looked out across the fields, her eyes filled with peace. Her journey had taught her that wisdom is not given, but discovered. She remembered the scarecrow, his straw rustling, his eyes kind. She whispered softly, "You taught me to think." Her journey had taught her that kindness is not in a heart alone, but in the way we care for others. She remembered the tin woodman, his tin body gleaming, his voice gentle. She whispered softly, "You taught me to love." Her journey had taught her that courage is not the absence of fear, but the strength to face it. She remembered the lion, his mane glowing, his roar steady. She whispered softly, You taught me to be brave. She remembered the Emerald City, its towers glowing, its people kind. She remembered the wizard, ordinary yet wise, who showed her that power is not always magic, but truth. She remembered the yellow brick road, winding through forests and fields, carrying her toward friendship and discovery. Her heart filled with gratitude. She whispered softly, "I will carry you with me always." Her aunt entered quietly, placing a hand on her shoulder. "You seem at peace," she said softly. Ellie smiled, her eyes warm. "I am," she whispered. "My journey is complete, but its light will shine within me always." Her aunt nodded, her heart steady. "You have grown," she said gently, "and you will carry it with you forever." Ellie hugged her tightly, whispering, "Yes, forever." At night, Ellie lay in her bed. Tatoshka curled beside her. Her silver shoes rested quietly nearby. They were no longer magical, but they were reminders of a road walked, of lessons learned, of friends loved. She closed her eyes, her breath slow, her body resting. Her journey was complete, but its magic lived on, in her heart, in her community, in the world around her. The wizard of the Emerald City had become more than a tale. It had become a truth, that wisdom, kindness, and courage shine in every heart, and that magic can be found in the simplest of days.